of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Throws, ends it, caught, touchdown, did he get it?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker. And I suddenly don't have anything in my headphones. That's always fun.
Yeah, that kind of happened to me as well. I could hear the music coming from the headphones, and then it suddenly went quiet, and couldn't even hear anything from you for a second.
It helps when you have the right set plugged in.
Yeah. Oh, it's just
that's always good. That makes a difference.
Yeah. Just a slight difference.
Just a slight difference.
Slight. Ever so slight.
Barely, yeah. It's another wonderful day in paradise here in the Full Court Press. You know, we got the studio all torn up. We got things moved around.
I thought paradise was south of here.
Yeah, it's definitely not here right now. No, we're in the early stages of some studio remodels here at the old Radio Ranch. Started last week, and it's going to be a several-month process because it's not just one studio that we have down here. We have multiple studios. And
how many studios do we have? Can you count them?
We've got 7. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, soon to be 8.
Are they making another one?
Yes.
Ah.
Where I am lobbying, that's where we go.
You're trying to get us a fancy new...
Well, it'll give us more room because we tend to have guests that can come down, and it gets kind of cramped in this room where we are to do that. And in the new studio that will be created will give us a lot more room to do that. So
it's like how the KVNU studio is like twice the size of this one.
Yes, that's like master control. It's the mothership right over there.
Basically, that's where it all started here. I know not necessarily here, but that's the station that basically started it all here in Logan, I believe.
Yeah, that's true. It was the first radio station in Cache Valley back in the 1930s, late 1930s.
It's a lot of history.
Yes, it is. Bolin family got it going.
So that's why they get the big room.
Yeah, that's why. That's right, because they're the oldest. So anyway, little history, radio history, and inside baseball stuff right there. But a couple of things that are on the docket today here on the Full Court Press, and as always, we'd love to hear from you on these topics and your reactions or questions. 435-339-0321. News continues about college football and what's going on. I mean, it's who we are, the college realignment and expansion show. So We'll have a moment where we get into the latest developments there. We'll hear more about the Rocky Mountain Kickoff later this hour. Dee Jones, the event organizer, will be joining us here in studio. We'll have to dust off a few things, move a few boxes, and make room for him.
I've got a box literally on my right-hand side here that it's cutting into my elbow space. So
yeah, in the future, we are going to have cameras in these studios so we can do live feeds and video podcasts, and it's a good thing we don't have them now because it'd be embarrassing.
Yeah, that's the thing is you got to make things messy before you make them clean and fancy when we can have our new the new video stuff.
Yes. Also on the docket today, we will be talking about kind of the best case, worst case scenarios for football for Utah State. Looking at the offense, looking at the defense, and kind of on a Would You Rather Wednesday also throw that out there for you. And continuing to examine this Utah State football team as we get into the start of the 2023 football season. There are reports about a football player who looks like he's going to be suspended at Iowa, and I'm not sure how that's going to affect things for the Hawkeyes or the Aggies necessarily in that game on September 2nd. But and then a little bit later on this hour as well, we will reveal number 3 in our top 25 countdown for the top Aggies of this upcoming football season. So a lot of different things to get through today on the show.
Yes, plenty to talk about. That's why we have the 2 hours now.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Yeah, if it's only the 1 hour, we'd just do the conference realignment and then be done with it. Because that's the most important
That's the
thing.
priority. Yeah.
That's what you're all listening to this show for, is for the latest in conference realignment. The same news we probably talked about 16,000 times. But here we are going at it
we'll
more.
do it again. Yeah, we'll do it again.
But obviously we do want to talk about Utah State football first and foremost. That's the signal that it's really coming is today. Got the media availability for week 1. All the press conferences, when you can talk to players, the Zoom calls they do now for their weekly press conferences. So that's how you know football season has started, as you start getting those emails. All right, here's the thing. And then,
this is the schedule for the week.
Then on Monday we'll get, the game 1 notes, and I don't know if they do starting the depth chart in those game notes. I can't remember if they did that last year, but yeah, that'll be the true thing. It's when they start releasing those game notes and everything. So we're inching ever so closer. Although we do have another Utah State sport getting going this week officially. Volleyball traveling to Nebraska on Friday.
Yeah.
So then I think it's number 5 Nebraska. So top 5 team in the country. So that's a challenge. Of course, the volleyball team was picked to finish, tops in the Mountain West. So that's a team you'd maybe expect to try and, get up for that challenge. I don't know if they'll.
Nebraska is a storied volleyball program. Great venue, and certainly Utah State volleyball is on a upward trajectory here, and this is a good showdown for them to be a part of. Just a measuring stick. We've been doing some good things. How good are we? How much further do we need to go?
Yeah, if you get swept 3-0 and get swept 3-0 pretty badly, that's not the greatest sign. But then again, it's it's like when you're in football and you lose to the number 2 team in the country. And it's like, okay, we kind of expected that. Lost 45-7. Okay, we can maybe make up from that. But, if they're competitive in all 3 sets, but they still manage to lose 3-0, that's something you can still be proud of. Heck, if you take a set, that certainly obviously you want to come away with the win, but there's positives and negatives you can take away from every game. So we'll see how that one goes. But obviously their opening slate of games won't just be that one. They're also playing, I think, SMU and Texas Tech, I think? Or am I mixing it up with soccer now? Because soccer's going on as well.
Yeah.
I think they might be playing Texas. I've got my schedules all mixed up, all in my head.
Give me 1 second. I'm pulling it up.
Yeah. Just need to stall for time.
So, yeah, they do play Nebraska, as you said. Then they will play SMU. They're in Lincoln. And they play Lipscomb.
Okay, that's the one. Yeah, I think soccer's playing Texas Tech. And then, Lipscomb. So 2 of those games are in Nebraska. Is the Lipscomb game also in Nebraska?
Lipscomb game is also in Nebraska.
So basically just doing a showcase in Nebraska.
3 days. Yeah, 3 different opponents over 3 days.
Yeah, which is fairly typical in non-conference. I think the Aggies may have one of their own. I know they had a showcase last year early in the season. That's where they beat UCLA. So I don't know if they'll have one of those showcases at Logan this year. I have to double-check the schedule, but fairly typical playing these showcases where everyone congregates in one location. They all play 2 to 4 games, and then they leave.
So, kind of. They play the University of Utah on August 30th, and they play Weber State on August 31st. That's kind of a back-to-back kind of different evenings there. But then they have a couple of days off before their next game.
Okay.
So,
well, typically these showcases, a lot of times you play on the same day. That's something that will sometimes happen. Just because volleyball is one of those sports where you can do a same-day, doubleheader type thing.
yeah. Well, they're going to Texas, College Station, where they play Texas A&M, TCU, and Northern Iowa in 3 days.
Good old-fashioned Texas roundup. And Iowa, I guess.
And Northern Iowa, I don't know.
Like I said, you usually when you're in a location, you're more like, if you're in Utah and you do a little Utah showcase. You'll see Utah and BYU and Utah State in there, but then you'll randomly pick up a school from like Arizona. When UCLA came to Utah last year.
Right.
So it tends to be a regional thing, but not always. There's usually just kind of some random team that jumps in there, even though most of the teams may be regional.
Yeah. Yes. So, but still, it's a really exciting schedule for Utah State volleyball.
Yeah.
And they're on an upward trajectory. They should be playing teams like this. They should be visiting schools like they are and hosting schools like they are. So this is a really exciting season for volleyball for Utah State, and plenty of returning talent, great coaching. This could be a really special year for USU volleyball.
Yeah, I think that's one of the wonderful things is because with soccer and volleyball, they both experience program turnarounds. Volleyball is a little more dramatic where they went from worst to first in the conference. But yeah, this season with them both of them on that upward trajectory, they're both really testing themselves in non-conference. We just talked about how, Utah State soccer, they played the 21st ranked team in the country. They're playing a bunch of other, Power 5 schools. I don't know what we refer to them in non-football sports or non-basketball, but, playing Utah and BYU. They're hosting Utah and BYU and, plenty of other great schools. And volleyball, going through the ringer themselves with a bunch of tough teams. And the reason they're playing all these tough teams is because they think they can win some of these games. And they're going to test themselves. And if they, come out of these non-conference schedules with solid records, then, dang, watch out, Mountain West, because those teams are going to be dang good.
Yeah.
And heck, even if they come out with losing records, they may still be dang good.
They might still be really good.
Because they'll have learned from those losses to really good teams, and then they'll be ready to go through the Mountain West schedule.
Yeah, very true. So that game against Nebraska, that's coming up on Friday, and there are links to watch it on the Utah State Aggies website for their official athletics page for the volleyball team. So that'll be Friday at 5 while we're on the air. So you can watch it, but listen to us if you want.
I may or may not have the game pulled up.
Yeah, you're going to be on the road. Yeah, you're heading.
I guess that's
Utah
true.
County.
I will not have the game pulled up. I might listen to it, I guess. I'll be heading down to Timpanogos.
That's true. So Utah State football kind of wrapping up fall camp and turning their attention to week 1 with Iowa we have to travel to Iowa. And so continue to look at this on a broader scope of this Utah State football team. And offensively, let's focus on the offense first. And you've heard us talk about this before, we really feel like this offense has the potential to keep this team in a lot of games. So best case scenario, this offense is able to put 30, 35, maybe 40 points on the board every night and get them in a lot of games. It will help power them to even a bowl bid. And it'll have to be on the back of the offense that happens, I believe. If they're going to make a bowl game, it's because the offense was clicking and they were just able to outscore their opponents.
Yeah, the offense is where you see most of the notable returning talent whenever you return a quarterback. I know Cooper Legas was technically the backup, but he basically became the starter once it was clear Logan was out. And it became Logan's team because it became Cooper's team because we knew Logan's career was going to end. So we kind of already shifted into the Cooper Legas era at the end of last season. So he's basically the returning quarterback. You also return a guy in Terrell Vaughn who's borderline all Mountain West, right now. So you have some of that already, and so that's where you get some of the optimism. We have some of the optimism on the new wide receivers. There's talent coming in. There's some talent coming on the offensive line. So there's more reasons to be optimistic when you're looking at different check marks to try and say, this is how we think we know.
And so far, impressed on the early returns on the running back position, too.
Yeah, so all the things we look at that we think we know is going to make up a good unit, so for this case, the offense, we feel like we can at least check a few of the boxes. It's still hard to, check because a lot of times you like to return, an elite starting quarterback. Well, Utah State doesn't return an elite starting quarterback. They return an average starting quarterback, a guy who's looking for his breakout season.
Right.
You return not an elite wide receiver, but a good wide receiver. You did lose your running back. I know we are optimistic about the running backs after what we saw. But then on the offensive line, do you return most of the offensive line? No, the opposite. You return the one starter. So there's not a ton, and that's why a lot of people aren't super optimistic about the offense on the outside. But I think from what we've seen, I do think there is more reason for optimism on the offense, at least. Because there's at least a little more that we know about the offense.
Yeah, and that's just it, because we seem to know a little bit more about what we're going to get out of the offensive unit because of what we've seen and what we've heard and just our own just who's coming back for Utah State. So best case scenario for that offense is that those newer wide receivers click and help the quarterback position, whether it's Levi or Cooper, expand their role and their effectiveness as leaders of the offense. The tight ends stave off injury.
Yeah, that's the number one key.
Stay available and help the offense move. So the offense has that potential to overpower opponents and get down the field. Worst case scenario is that because there's just so many, as you already detailed, new faces and things may not come together just yet, is that we haven't seen a lot of turnovers in the scrimmages, but when it gets to gameplay, worst case scenario is that they just still struggle getting on track with each other, and opposing defenses who are hungry and are better than Utah State's current defense, who they practice against, creates a lot of havoc and makes it difficult for the offense to get going.
Yeah, basically, kind of building off what you said, where I think the best way for me to put it is that the best and worst case scenario just really does swing on how good the passing attack is. Because Blake Anderson's offense, they aren't exactly the kind that are just going to run the ball down your throat. They like to establish the run, but it's really there to soften the team up and then just start taking some deep shots.
Right. They want a defense to respect that there's an opportunity that a run may happen.
Yeah. And then they're making big plays through the passing game. They're getting vertical, basically the 2021 offense. That's your ideal Blake Anderson offense. Get vertical, get lots of chunk yards. They're not necessarily good at, nickel and diming a team down the field, but they're going to get those big plays, and that's going to drive the offense. So the best case scenario is where that does happen. Terrell Vaughn, able to make plays down the field. Colby Bowman, Otto Tia, Jalen Royals. All these players able to get down the field. Make those big plays, make those catches. Cooper Legas improves, in especially for Cooper Legas, not throwing a ton of interceptions. Only throwing in that, at most 8 to 10 interceptions, for an entire 12, 13 game season. So that's kind of the ideal. And so, the worst case, basically what happened last year, where it's largely boom or bust. You either get those big plays and you're able to win a game, or you throw a bunch of interceptions on those throws. And they're not able to control all levels of the passing attack, because they could throw short, they could throw heaves down the field. They couldn't really do anything in the intermediate realm. They couldn't, throw in the 10 to 20-ish yard range. And then they couldn't run the ball effectively, at least enough. Calvin Tyler Jr. ran for 1,000 yards, but he only averaged 4.4 yards per carry, which is decent, but it's not going to carry your offense in a lot of cases. So worst case scenario is basically the passing game doesn't work out and it looks like last year. Because in that case, there's nothing driving the offense. There's no driving force. Whereas, in 2021 they had that. Vertical passing game. That drove the offense. And in previous years, we've seen at least something driving the offense. Quarterback, run game. There's many ways you can have a good offense. But with this season, if that vertical passing game isn't working, I don't think there's any other aspect of this offense that's going to be able to turn it into an elite offense. And it'll just sputter around and average 20 points per game.
Yeah, last year's team was good enough that they could have won 8, maybe 9 games. They won 6. They got to a bowl game, and early part of the season, it was looking really dire that they could even do that. So how they finished last season was impressive, how they turned things around enough to get to a bowl game. This year's team, I think they're good enough to get to 6 wins. Maybe 7. Things have to really go their way. but they could also only win 3 games. So I think the floor and ceiling of last year's team were both higher. I think the floor and ceiling of this year's team are lower. That's not a knock against the talent, the guys that are there. I know they're working hard. It's just so many unknowns. And so far what we've seen, there's just too many questions about, is it coming together soon enough for this team to make impact? But my concern is that, it's not necessarily one bad tackle away from doomsday for Utah State football, because I think Levi Williams can come in and effectively lead some drives down the field. I don't know that if he were just solely rely on him, if he's going to get you to a bowl game for the full season. But I think he can come in and manage some drives for you. But this team is going to be largely supported by how well Cooper Legas is in that offense. And we're talking specifically about the offense and how well he connects with those wide receivers, how much protection he gets from his offensive front. So this team very well could only end up winning 3 games. On the positive side, I could see them winning 6, 7. I have a hard time giving them much more than that, though.
I'll be honest, and I know we need to take a break really quick here, but you say the ceiling isn't as high as last year's. I actually think the ceiling is higher than last year's team. Now, some of that is with the hindsight of having watched last year's team. I was higher on them preseason than I probably am for this team preseason. But I think the variety of talent that this team has is better than last year's at pretty much every position. So I think the ceiling is higher. But last year's team had a lot more, known, we knew more about that team. They had more returning starters, offensive line, running back, quarterback, all that. So the ceiling is higher, I think, for this team, but the floor is lower. A lot more boom or bust. They could win 3 games, and if the offense, if everything went right for the offense, you'd be looking like 8 or 9 wins. But that's a perfect scenario where literally everybody lives up to their potential, and there's no reason to predict that. But I think the ceiling is higher for this offense this year if more things are able to click, if they're able to utilize all the talent that they've gathered.
So I'd love to put that question to you as well. How do you feel about the ceiling and the floor for the team this year? What's the lowest number of wins you could see out of this team? What's the highest number of wins that you could see out of the Utah State football team as they get into the 2023 football season? 435-339-0321. And coming up on the other side of this timeout, we'll talk about another one of those impact players for the team this year. It's a player that we've already mentioned this hour. So,
spoiler alert!
Tease. Find out who it is. Coming up next on the Full Court Press.
Summer is cruising by way too fast. It's already back to school time. Soon, you're going to start experiencing many special places and events that you won't forget, such as your first slide down Old Main Hill, attending Aggie football and basketball games, or a wild party at the How, and your first kiss on the Aggie Bowl. That might just lead to that extra special moment at Jarek's Fine Jewelry, Cache Valley's engagement ring store, where it's all about the romance. Just look for the bright green cars at 930 North Main Street.
Advanced Fireplace and Stove wants to thank you for voting them 3 years running the gold medal winners in the Best of Northern Utah contest. With over 35 display models in their showroom, their goal is to make the process of making your home comfortable and cozy an easy experience. With premier brands like Napoleon and Dimplex, they have something for every style, every home, every budget. Building or renovating, they've got you covered. Advanced Fireplace and Stove, where comfort is their business.
This is Deputy Brad Nelson with the Cache County Sheriff's Office. Schools are back in session throughout the valley, which means kids are going to be out on the roads during the morning and afternoon commutes. Law enforcement will be patrolling school zones where the speed limits are 20 miles per hour. Also, watch out for crosswalks and crossing guards. We're asking citizens to be alert while driving and help us keep kids safe. Thank you.
Summer may be coming to an end, but we still have some hot deals for you. This is Jay with Daryl's Appliance. Our farmer-tested and approved Speed Queen washer is built tough and has a 5-year warranty. It's only $13.99. Snag a matching electric dryer to complete the set. Come see why everyone is trading in their front-load washers for these best sellers. Backed by Daryl's service and warranty team. Daryl's West on Airport Road. Open until 6 p.m. on weekdays, 5 on Saturday.
The Aggies are #1 here. The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker, 435-339-0321. What do you think the floor and the ceiling is going to be for Utah State football this season? Got a text coming in on that. We'll get to that. We'd love to get more texts in on that topic. But before we do that, we need to do the latest reveal in our countdown for top 25 Aggies for 2023. To help us do that, we introduce our good friend and Hall of Fame broadcaster, Al Lewis.
The Cache Valley Media Group's countdown of the top 25 Aggie football players for this upcoming 2023 season moves to number 3. It's the Aggie quarterback, Cooper Legas. Legas is 6'1", 215, a senior with still another year of eligibility left. He's from Orem High School, and nobody will ever forget what he did in the Los Angeles Bowl. Number 3 on our list for this year, Cooper Legas, the quarterback.
Cooper Legas, the quarterback, coming in at number 3. Now, this is a guy who Al always loves to talk about. His first play as a collegiate football player, which was awesome, which is great. No one will ever take that from him.
I mean, in my article where, they'll be published later talking about him, that's first sentence of the second paragraph.
Yes.
So it's not just Al that likes to bring that up.
It's incredible. But look, here's somebody who kind of got pressed into service. Then he got pulled back. Then he had opportunities to do things because the other quarterback was hurt, so he kind of stepped into a role that wasn't his, stepped back, had to step in again, but now he's had the full offseason to come into this season knowing he is quarterback number 1. He has to be the leader of this offense. And you can tell, dealing with him, talking with him, seeing him, he has taken that to heart, and he is trying to become a better leader, more effective leader on the field, and in the locker room. How he's taking care of his body as well. But Cooper Legas is going to be a hugely instrumental piece for how this offense operates, and is able to attack the field, keep the team moving down the field with his arm and with his legs. This is a guy who can scramble. I don't know that he loves to run as much as Levi Williams does, but he can. He has that ability, and there are going to be times where they call on him to do that, to continue to move the chains and keep the team going and keep momentum on their side for the offense. I like Cooper Legas. I think he's going to be a solid quarterback, one that we're really going to be watching to see how that development progresses for him as somebody who has extra time now, practicing with the first team, knowing he's going to be quarterback number 1.
Yeah, that is probably the biggest thing to be excited about Cooper Legas, is just the fact that he is now the number 1 quarterback. He's not the fill-in. He's not the mid-season, step in and play. Because, last year had to step in after the UNLV game, and, that's where he becomes the starting quarterback. But even then, didn't get a full season. Even, still had a couple of brushes with injury, so didn't even get to technically play all 8 of the games he started. So resetting everything, moving past the turmoil, of the Logan Bonner, and that kind of got toxic a little bit in that Weber State game. Moving beyond all of that, all of the turmoil from last season, especially in that early part. Fresh season, get some chemistry with these new wide receivers. You're the number one guy. Everyone's looking to you from day one. Day one of spring ball, Legas the number one quarterback. It was his job to lose. He hasn't lost it. It's his job. He's taken it into week one. So that's what's to be excited about for Cooper Legas. Now, there are areas of improvements he does need to make. He was far from a perfect quarterback. Last year he was pretty much just an average quarterback. Throw for a decent number of yards, throw a couple more touchdowns than interceptions. But when we were talking last segment about, best case scenario for the offense, it very much involves Cooper Legas improving those things, cutting down on interceptions in a huge way, being able to make a wider variety of passes, not just short hitch routes, quick slants, and deep passes. He needs to be able to hit more kinds of passes, get the ball out quickly, throw with power. So there are improvements he needs to make, and we'll see if he's been able to make those, in obviously in this upcoming season.
And part of me wonders, how much of the offense was really given to Cooper Legas last year. I know he was in the meetings. I know he was in the practices. But if you're not practicing with the ones through fall camp, yes, he's doing things in the spring, but he wasn't doing things in the fall with the starters as much. And I just, this is going to be an important year for him because we've had, a long lead-up time here where he is known he is QB1. Last year he threw for about 150 yards a game. Which isn't world-beating by any means as a quarterback. 11 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, which isn't great for a quarterback. But this was somebody who was always coming in relief, somebody who eventually took over the offense and helped lead the team to a bowl last year after a really bad start of the year. So we have to give him some credit for that. But this is somebody that is taking that role very seriously and is continuing to work on his game. And so the quarterback position still remains the most important position in college football. In fact, you can probably say in all of football.
Yeah, just straight up is the most important.
So he has to be high on the list of his impact. And he's not number one, but he's number 3. He's up there pretty high, and he needs to. And this is a really big role for him to play for USU this fall.
Yeah, I know if you just, rated every player like Madden style 1 to 99, Cooper Legas is probably not the number 3 player on the team. But because of the position he plays, the impact he will have, and because he still is one of the better players, I wouldn't think he would fall much further than outside the top 5, and especially not out of the top 10. But he is still one of the better players, and of course he plays the most impactful position. So he deserves to be considered this high on the list of our top 25 Aggies.
Yeah, he's an athlete. He's a competitor. He's competed in multiple sports and doesn't like to lose. And this is a guy that I feel like is going to take that next step. And I'm excited to see what he does this fall for USU. He wears number 5 on his jersey. He's a 6'1" quarterback, Cooper Legas, and he's number 3 on our list of top 25 Aggies for 2023. All right, coming up next on the Full Court Press, we'll talk some high school football. Got a big football doubleheader coming up this week on that same field where Cooper Legas plays. Really cool opportunity for these high school players to play on Merlin Olsen Field. More details with the event organizer, Dee Jones, coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
Fall is in the air and it's getting colder. Make sure your vehicle is well maintained.
Valvoline treating the patient as well as the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Visit us at primrosecare.com or call to schedule a free consultation. Primrose Home Care and Hospice, your local hospice and home health provider since 2006.
Come and see us at Murdoch Hyundai for our 97th anniversary during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. For nearly a century, we've been delivering excellence and quality service to the Salt Lake Valley, and we're not stopping anytime soon. Right now, receive 3.29% for 5 years on the Tucson or Santa Fe. Every new Hyundai comes with America's Best Warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty, and owner's assurance. When you walk through our doors, you feel like family. At Murdoch Hyundai, in Logan, Linden, and Murray, and online at murdochhyundai.com.
Call 866-628-3065 to see dealer for complete details. Offer expires 9/5/2023.
Interviews, analysis, and a little bit of fun mixed in. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. Just revealed number 3 in our top 25 Aggies for 2023. Podcasts available if you want to go back and listen to it. Will be available and posted shortly. Go back and listen to the others in our countdown, or always check CashValleyDaily.com for our latest in the list of our top 25 Aggies for the season. Really cool opportunity coming up this week to watch a couple of high school football games in one venue. This has been a lot of fun. This has been going on for, well, I don't know how many years. We got Dee Jones in with us, the event organizer. And Dee, how many years have you been doing this Rocky Mountain Kickoff?
This will be year number 8.
Wow, 8.
Yeah, pretty fun.
How is it different this year getting ready for it compared to that first year when you're trying to come up with the whole idea?
That first year was a little hectic. And now it just kind of runs itself. It's pretty easy. We know what to do and who to go see and what sponsors we should go after and all that stuff. So
becoming a little more routine and everything.
It's a routine now, yeah, rather than running all over the place trying to figure out what I'm doing. So.
Yeah. So this year it's going to be on this Friday, coming up this Friday, doubleheader, Ridgeline Stansbury for the opener.
Yes, sir.
Mountain Crest Pocatello for the second game. Walk us through just your process of selecting or getting teams to commit to come participate in that.
Okay. Well, the first 2 or 3 years, I'd have to reach out to coaches before they got their scheduling done. And ever since then, I'd say it started with about the 4th year, coaches reach out to me. I mean, we've already got 2024 ready. So it's really grown in popularity as far as the Utah teams are concerned in southeastern Idaho. So I get calls from coaches about March on whether or not they can, participate in, and so we put things together that way, and it's usually done by mid-April, and then we just kind of take a couple months off, and then we hit it really hard in June as far as advertising and get the program ready and get meetings with Utah State, who by the way have been fabulous during this whole process, but it's just and then before you know it, the day's here and we get everything done. I get the halftime entertainments lined up and everything, and that's actually kind of come easy too. So everybody wants to perform at halftime at the Rocky Mountain Kickoff now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So with now obviously teams coming more to you to try and line this up, how do you then decide which teams are in? Obviously there's kind of an emphasis on getting local teams. A lot of the Region 11 teams play. Preston's been in it a few times or at least once, and some teams from Idaho. Like, how do you now narrow it down when you've got more and more teams that are asking to be in, and then how do you line them up as far as you're going to play this team when you're going to play this team?
Yeah, it's actually easier than it sounds. When teams reach out to me, I kind of think of another team that they could match up with. Like that's how we got Stansbury and Ridgeline this year. Was I knew that Eric Alder was looking for a game, because they'll reach out and say, hey, have you got anybody for this week of the Rocky Mountain Kickoff? I need a game or whatever. And at the same time, I was talking to Travis Cox about having Ridgeline come in and participate, and Mike Hansen participate in the Rocky Mountain Kickoff. And so I asked Travis, I said, how do you feel about playing Stansbury? He said, I'm in. That's a great matchup for us. So that's how that one came about. Now the Mountain Crest Pocatello game, I actually had another team scheduled for Mountain Crest, but they backed out, and we have There's a young man by the name of Mark Weber, who's the offensive line coach at Idaho State, who actually lives here. And he and I will have lunch every now and then when he's in town. And we were talking about this, and he said that the Pocatello coach had come by their practice one day, and he got to know him, and he was a pretty nice guy. And I said, I'm looking for a team for Mountain Crest. Why don't you run it by him? So he did, and the head coach, Dave from Pocatello, calls me the next day, and he said, we would love to participate in that. That's something we've always wanted to do. And I'm like, okay, great. So then I called Ryan at Mountain Crest, and I said, I got you Pocatello, and he said, great. So that's how that all worked out. And that was all done in April. It wasn't like it happened a couple of weeks ago. It was all done and got that put to bed. So
that's awesome. And one thing that sometimes I hear from time to time, people ask, if I go to the first game, how quickly do I need to get out for that next session? And I don't know where that comes from, because it's always you get both games for the price of the one ticket.
Yeah, one ticket, 2 games. So I don't know why people would think they have to leave, because they don't.
No, that never happened.
The most people we've had in the stadium at once, because obviously some people who watch the first game, they just want to go home because they've been there to watch their team or their kid or their grandson or whatever, and they don't want to stick around. But the ones that do, it was 3 years ago, we had just over 10,000 there, and that was when Roy played Clearfield, and they traveled really well. And so that was the second game, and a lot of people from the first game stayed so they could watch 2 6A teams play, and that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool having that many people, and I'm actually expecting that many people this time too, because for the first time in 4 years we got 2 Valley teams playing, and I think ticket sales have been going really well, and I'm looking forward to having another great big crowd, so it'll be good. And the Ridgeline game's being streamed on KSL, so we're hoping for a great big crowd, so it looks really fun and cool. So
it'll be streamed on our platform too. But
good, awesome. No, no, that's awesome. I didn't,
No, I don't.
So let's bump you guys, KSL.
Yeah.
What do they know?
Those guys. Where do people go to get tickets? How do they get them? Is there a website? Is there a specific ticket vendor? What's the best way for them to get their tickets?
All the tickets are available right now at the USU ticket office. You can get them online, or you can call 888-U-STATE-1 and get your tickets bought and purchased. And I would actually recommend that, because we get lines. There's pretty good lines 10 minutes before kickoff.
A bunch of people always wait till last minute.
I'll
just buy them there.
Yep. There won't be too many
That's
people
basically
there.
like me. It's like, I don't need to buy them online. I'll just go like 10 minutes early and get my ticket.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. You'll miss kickoff. But I remember that first year, I think there was people from Skyview that didn't even get in till halftime because the line was so long. And that's when we decided we're going to do pre-sales on this thing. So that's when that all started. And it helps. It helps a lot.
Yeah. Dee Jones, he's the event organizer for Rocky Mountain Kickoff. It's coming up on this Friday, on Merlin Olsen Field. It'll be Ridgeline versus Stansbury for the opener, Mountain Crest versus Pocatello for the later game. When you have like 2 football games, like football games are not necessarily like quick contests. So trying to fit 2 games in one venue at once, I mean, how challenging is that to try to get that first game in as early as you can, so that later game isn't going on till in the wee hours of the night?
Right. Well, obviously we don't tell the coaches, you have to run the ball, keep that clock going. It's just worked out. It's been 2 hours, a little over 2 hours. So basically, what we do is when the second teams arrive, which is usually halftime of the first game, we just let them know that we're going to start the game 20 minutes after the end of the first game. So, with this being 6:15, we're thinking this is probably going to start about 8:30. But I would advise people to get there at 8 o'clock, 8:15 if they're not going to watch the first game, just to be safe. Well, I know you were there. I don't know if you were there, and I'm pointing. I'm on the radio pointing at you guys. Anyway, so do you remember when we had the big rainstorm?
Oh, yeah. We had a delay.
And we had that delay. We had an hour and a half delay, and there was 4 minutes to go in the game. And I'm going, why can't we just play this? But the blue light was flashing because of the lightning and everything. And that game I think that night we got home about 1 o'clock in the morning. So, but that was an hour and a half delay.
I think I did the first game in that.
Did you?
Because I think I remember hearing about it later because I was calling the Logan game, which I think was the first one.
Right.
And then,
it was
the next game it was, I remember hearing about that the next day. I was like, oh, yeah, by the way, didn't get back until like 2
Man, I'm telling you, that was a long day. But we got through it, and everything was fine. And then we had that poor woman. She was trying to kick the field goal for the $50,000, and it was raining.
Oh, no, that's even worse.
Oh, I felt bad for her. But, she got a couple gift cards out of the deal.
So there's something fun. I don't know if you've done this before or if I've missed it, or maybe it's new this year, but there's incentive to stick around after the games because you're going to do kind of a dance party, a lot of fun. No, it's not happening.
That
anymore.
Actually got postponed.
Okay.
Oh,
no. Okay.
After party got canceled.
After party got canceled.
That's a shame.
The mayor wouldn't sign off on it.
Well, you can party in the parking lot with your friends.
Well, it's just kind of a sad deal for the people that are trying to put it together. That had nothing to do with me. They were just trying to, combine it with the event and everything, and then I kind of felt bad for them because they worked pretty hard on it. They had to cancel it.
This is why they say Logan has no nightlife.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
There's plenty else. Obviously, you got the football game. That'll take you far enough into the night. But
if you want your child to not have a college experience and have a social life, send them to Utah State. I am really sorry I said that.
No, it's fine. But I guess on a positive, just in doing this for 8 years, like what's been kind of your favorite part of doing this? You've obviously worked with a lot of schools, most of the Valley schools.
The favorite part is just getting to know the coaches. But there's just I don't know. I guess I'm not a sentimental guy, but when those kids first get there and they get off the bus and they walk up that ramp and they walk into the stadium, the look on their face is like, this is really cool. This is neat. And so I think they all walk away with a great memory, and I think that's the best part for me is just knowing that these kids, it's a great opportunity for them, and they're going to have some fun.
Well, when we spoke to, I believe it was Coach Travis Cox for the Ridgeline Riverhawks, they've had an opportunity to participate in this before, but this is the first year that they've done this. And we kind of asked him, like, look, you played on that field. What is it like to bring a team in there now? And he was really excited for his kids. And his position was, we plan to play in the postseason and play in a venue like this later, deeper into the season. So this is a great tune-up and an opportunity for these kids to see what that feels like before they get kind of shell-shocked with that opportunity later in the year.
Yeah. It's like I said earlier, it's a great opportunity, and Travis is such a good coach, and he knows what the kids like, and I was really excited when they decided to come on board with this one because that's a great program, and I think. I know what happened to Stansbury last week to Green Canyon, but I just think they're a better team than that. And I think we're going to see a pretty good game. That first game is going to be good. And then Pocatello, they're coming down loaded. They're going to be really, really good this year. And I went up to Pocatello to meet with the coach on Friday, and he told me that they've got 3 buses rented just for the fans.
Wow.
Coming down. So they're taking it very seriously, and they're coming down to win. So that one will be a really good game, too.
Hopefully all 3 of those buses pre-ordered their tickets.
Well, what I did, I took them up Friday. That's what I did. I took a bunch of tickets up to them so they could just sell them and not have to worry about getting in line when they got here.
So I'm curious. I haven't looked back to see all the games, but have we gotten pretty much all the Region 11 teams to participate yet?
Yeah, the only one we have left is Bear River and Green Canyon.
Okay.
That's it. And I've talked to Bear River, and they're excited. They want to participate. So they're probably going to be there 2025.
There we go.
Yep.
It's always nice to get them, especially when they're around here because they all know the venue. So they're all wanting to play in there someday.
Well, and they travel so well.
Yeah.
Bear River travels well. So I would be excited to have them come.
We don't have to travel very far.
No, but they bring a lot of fans.
Bring their fans.
A lot of fans.
Right.
Yeah. So it's good. It's a great experience for everybody, and it's fun.
And food options? Will there be food options there in the arena?
The concession stands will be open at the stadium, and then we provide food for all the players and the coaches after their games.
Yeah, very cool. So. And I don't know if we've even mentioned the price. Like, what does it cost to get it for both games?
$8.
That is super cheap.
$4 a game.
That is like cheap as free. You can hardly get
you can't go to a movie that cheap.
Usually single game tickets aren't much less than that.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
So the Rocky Mountain Kickoff, it's this Friday, and first game starts at 6:15. Make sure you're there before then so you don't miss anything. And once again, places where they can get their tickets, Dee.
Okay, so you can call the USU ticket office at 1-888-U-STATE-1, or you can go online and order them at the Utah State website, or you can go up to the ticket office and buy them. They'll be available at the game. And other than that, I'm pretty sure that's all the gates are going to open at 5:30, so that might help a lot. People, if they want to come up at 5:30 and get in there early. Another interesting thing is the first couple of years we had that, the east side was so hot. I mean, we're it's the end of summer, it's hot, right? So that's why we've moved it to 6:15 because the last couple of years that sun gets right behind that press box at about 6:15.
Ah, right there.
And so I think it'll be, the fans on the east side are still going to be hot for about the first half, but the team will be in shade. And so that helps out a lot. And it's just kind of funny because that whole west side gets full, and then there's like 3 people on the east side.
Yeah.
So the second game, and then the second game, it starts filling in. So.
Are there designated areas? Are you trying to like tell people, look, if you're a fan of this team, sit in this area. If you're a fan of that team, sit over here. Or is it just everybody's kind of mingled together?
Yeah, the way it's been because of the heat, everybody just kind of sits on the west side for that first game.
It's general admission for anything.
Right,
wherever.
it's general admission.
Sit wherever you
can
want.
sit wherever you want.
It's a risky venture.
I know, right?
I imagine you have anything bad.
Well, I'll just let you know. So for the games, Ridgeline and Mountain Crest will be the home teams, and they'll be on the west sideline for any fans that are listening. So,
no, that's good to know. Yeah, that's good.
So
cool. Well, Dee, thanks for coming down. Best of luck on Friday. Your first game's at 6:15. Gates open at 5:30. Mm-hmm. But get your tickets ahead of time and avoid the lines.
Right.
That's the best thing to do.
I would.
Very good.
I did.
Awesome. So Rocky Mountain Kickoff coming up on Friday. Ridgeline Stansbury is the opener. Mountain Crest Pocatello is the nightcap. More thoughts coming up on the Full Court Press. Stick around.
Why wait? Ron Keller Tire.
Since 1958, Ron Keller Tire has been serving the wonderful people in Cache Valley and the surrounding areas. We love tires, but our real business is loving our customers. With a huge tire inventory, fair, consistent prices, and a pit crew-like service, Ron Keller Tire gets you in and out with no appointment. Give us a chance to earn your trust and see what we offer. For more than 60 years, you have been our business.
Why wait? Ron Keller Tire. Why wait?
In Logan, Preston, Malad, and Tremonton.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. Labor Day is our biggest sale of the year, and it's in full force right now. Both My Mattress stores have the best prices of the year. The North Store and the South Store. One by Big 5 Sports and the other by Red Balloon Toys. Choose from the world's 2 best beds, IntelliBed Purple and Tempur-Pedic. Prices will never be lower, and you will never sleep better than on one of those 2 beds. Up to 4 years, no interest financing available. The Labor Day sale at both My Mattress locations. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally?
Copiers, printers, service, and supplies are just the beginning. Les Olson IT is the premier source for your business's structured cabling, IT, software, telephones, and security systems. We partner with you to find the ideal solution to all of your office technology needs. Tell us your goals and we'll get you there. Find out more at lesolson.com.
Les Olson IT.
This is Nate Lamson with Valley Office Systems, your home team when local matters. Valley Office Systems is your local provider for all things office, copiers, printers, furniture, and document management. Proudly serving Cache Valley since 2007. Visit valleyofficesystems.com.
It's the Full Court Press, weekday afternoons from 4 to 6 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Do-it-yourself kind of person. Locally owned Napa Auto Parts store. Good place to know for you. They feature all the best brands. You can find all the parts, all the oil that you need. Keep your car and equipment running at its best. They got 5 different locations, locally owned, from Preston to Providence. That's Napa Auto Parts. Big thanks to Dee Jones coming down and spending time with us here in studio, talking about the Rocky Mountain Kickoff this Friday. So the Ridgeline Stansbury game will be on 104.5 The Ranch, video streaming on CacheValleyDaily.com. The Mountain Crest Pocatello game, 107.7 KLZX, video streaming on CacheValleyDaily.com.
There you go. Our very own broadcaster is calling those. If you can't make it, if you don't want to stay out too late, then you can watch the game from the comfort of your own home.
But it's always best to see it in person.
Yeah, it is always, especially getting a chance to go get a very cheap seat.
Yes. Great price for 2 games.
I said those are underpriced, but
quickly, text from 9315. We're asking about the floor and the ceiling for Utah State offense. I think the ceiling is higher, just too many player media and fans don't know, so we're overly cautious. The low is 6, the highest is 11.
That's a little too rich. I guess highest I'd say is 9. The low is more like 3. It's just 9 through 5 is really optimistic. He's been
drinking
that way
the Kool-Aid.
Very much. But hey, be optimistic.
But hey, that's okay.
You can justify the optimism Just don't get your hopes up too high.
Yeah, don't be disappointed. 11's a little high for me. We'll talk more about high and lows expectations for the defense next hour.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. Today's NFL is centered around the passing game. That, combined with a short shelf life, has tanked the value of premier running backs. Look at what's going on in Indy with Jonathan Taylor. He's been one of the league's best backs the last 3 seasons, but with the contract extension looming, the Colts have officially allowed Taylor to seek a trade. In an era where the league is obsessed with attacking defenses through the air, it's hard to say what the Colts may get in return, although they've asked for a first-round pick. Although running backs don't hold nearly as much value as they used to, Taylor can make a significant impact. The Niners made it all the way to the NFC title game after acquiring Christian McCaffrey. LaShawn McCoy made 3 Pro Bowls with the Bills after Chip Kelly traded him away from Philadelphia. And Marshawn Lynch helped the Seahawks to multiple Super Bowls after being dealt from Buffalo. So although running backs may be a dying breed, a contender could certainly gain an advantage if they're willing to pull the trigger on a former All-Pro running back. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.